What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Zoe, and today I'm talking about my March wrap-up. Everything I read in the month of March. I'll just go ahead and say right now, it was not my favorite month of reading. I think I had such a good month of reading in February that March just was a little bit of a letdown. I read a lot of books that were good, and I did rate relatively high, but it was more because they were objectively written really well or had a really good message. It wasn't that they were any new favorite books by any means. But yeah, so it's just kind of like an okay reading month. I actually did end up DNFing one book I'll talk about as well. So we'll get there. Let me go ahead and let's just jump right into the first book I read in March. So this also comes with a little bit of a backstory because I had an intention to read an entire 9-book series right at the beginning of March. I even started doing a video. I was going to do the whole video over the entire month, and I did the math. I would have had to read 100 pages every single day within this series to get through the entire series. That on top of the Buzzwordathon, which I really wanted to do, and my book club book, there was no way I was going to finish it. But I did start the first book in the series. I might finish it, I might not. So the first book that I read in the month of March was The A-List by Zoe Dean. I read this series back in high school. I freaking loved it. It's such a trash series. It's like The Selection. There's nothing really amazing about it, but it's like candy and you can't stop eating it. You just want more and more. You don't really know why because you know it's not that good for you, but you just want more. That's exactly how this series feels. It basically follows a bunch of high school kids who are ridiculously overprivileged because they live in Hollywood and their parents are involved in Hollywood in some way, and they're all wealthy. Not a lot of depth to it, not a lot of anything, but still really an addicting read, very fun to read. There's just a lot of dumb petty drama going on, but I'm kind of a fan because why not? So while I didn't love it, I didn't hate it, but I definitely don't think I'm going to continue on with the series. I can understand why I liked it back when I was a kid, but just not my cup of tea anymore, that's for sure. I went ahead and gave this 2 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read in the month of March was The Roanoke Girls. This is by Amy Engel, and this follows a very dysfunctional family line. It's a young adult mystery, and it follows our main characters, Lane and Allegra, as they live with their grandparents because Allegra's mother had ran away and Lane's mother had just committed suicide in the beginning of the book. So there's content warning for that, definitely. So every other chapter is a flashback. So we go from then when they were kids growing up at their grandparents' house to now where Lane is an adult and Allegra is actually missing. So Lane returns back to her grandparents' place to kind of help find Allegra in hopes that she'll come home. So there's that mystery going on, and then we're also unraveling the mystery of why Lane decided to leave when she did, and very, very dysfunctional family. Very dysfunctional. I'm not going to give anything away because spoilers, but not good. Super dysfunctional family, good mystery. I got kind of annoyed with all of the characters. I just didn't really even like Lane. You could easily see kind of what was coming. It wasn't a big twist at the end. I feel like I could tell what was about to be revealed, so the twist didn't really surprise me big time by any means. I've definitely read better mysteries. I had really high hopes for this book as well. I hauled it in one of my last book hauls and I was just super excited to read it, and I already started reading it. It took me forever to get through this one. I don't know why. It just felt like the pace was so slow, and yeah, like I said, it was a little weird for me, a little weird. I went ahead and gave this one 2 out of 5 stars as well. Didn't hate it, but definitely didn't like it. The next few books I read for the Buzzwordathon. That was 2 weeks ago. I posted my Buzzwordathon readathon vlog last week, so I'll link that below if you want to go check it out. I'm not going to get too detailed because I talk so much about all these books in my vlog, but I will go ahead and quickly run through those books that I read. So the first book I read I actually don't have with me because I let a friend borrow it, but that was Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too by Jomny Sun. I loved this book so much. It was just so cute. So it follows this little alien that's sent to Earth to study the Earth, and along the way he meets bees and trees and owls and slugs and flowers and stuff like that, and he has conversations with them and kind of gets to know their thoughts, and it sounds so silly, and it is. It's this little graphic novel. It took me 30 minutes to read. There was a lot of depth considering the book was very cutesy and adorable, and it just got me in the feels so much more than I expected it to. So because it was so unexpected and I just really overall enjoyed it, I did go ahead and give it 5 out of 5 stars. I really, really liked it, and I already let a friend borrow it. I want to buy a copy for everyone I know. If I ever want to give a bookish gift to someone, that's definitely what I'm going to go with because it was just so cute. And there were so many little nuggets that I think anyone could take away and just apply to their own life. So it was really, really good. The next book I read was was the buddy read. This is When the Sky Fell in Splendor by Emily Henry. We follow a group of kids who have experienced and like touched this extraterrestrial UFO type thing right in the beginning of the book, and they all kind of have different powers, and the book revolves around them trying to unravel the mystery of what's going on. And there's, you know, some really great friendship tropes that I just absolutely love. It's been likened to Stranger Things, which it was awesome. Definitely got those vibes. I also like to say that it reminded me a lot of Now and Then, if you've ever seen that movie. Love that movie. I did really like this book. I liked this better than the other one I've read by her, which is The Love That Split the World. It was just really like fun and action-packed and entertaining, and I flew through it in like 2 days. Totally loved it. The one thing I will say is that there were some scenes that just came across confusing to me, especially towards the end. The timeline was getting a little bit mixed up. I felt like I was faltering and trying to follow along. At first I thought it was just me, and then I actually saw a few other people's vlogs and they felt the same way. So I don't think it was just me. I think that what would have helped is maybe like more of a linear timeline at the beginning of the chapters to help the reader understand where they were at, but it was just a little hard for me to follow along, and some of the scenes were a little just confusing in general, and I didn't love them. So for that reason, I went ahead and gave this 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read for the Buzzwordathon was The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed, and I love this book. This follows 3 girls who are kind of considered like outcasts within their high school. They are not all that close of friends at the beginning of the story, and they end up starting this secret kind of girls club in their high school to speak up and stand out against rape culture and sexual assault and the things that were going on around those issues in their high school. This was such a powerful read. I liked it so much more than I thought I was going to like it. It was so diverse, and it covered such a vast variety of people's opinions and thoughts and questions when it comes to rape culture and women's oppression, and it was just so good. It's not my new favorite book. I did love it. I did give it 5 out of 5 stars. Objectively, this was a fantastic read, and I just hope that I want everyone to pick up this book. If you're in a book club, I highly recommend reading this one to discuss, because I just have so many thoughts and just really overall enjoyed this so much. I also listened to the audiobook, and I thought the audiobook was really, really good. So I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Really good. And the last book that I read for Buzzwordathon was Wonder When You'll Miss Me by Amanda Davis. This came out back in like 2003. I read it when I was in high school. I loved it. I remember checking it out multiple times from my high school library and reading it, and I tried so hard to find it for like years after. I could not remember the name of it or really what happened. I just remembered it was about a girl at a circus, and finally I found it this last year, and I have been dying to pick it up again to see kind of what adult Zoe thinks about it, and adult Zoe has some mixed feelings on it. It's a very sad book, a very, very sad book. Very heavy topics. It follows our main character Faith as she is an overweight teen in high school. She gets bullied a lot. She ends up getting sexually assaulted and then tries to commit suicide. Her parents bring her to a psych ward for rehabilitation to get better. She loses a bunch of weight, but she still has like a lot of anger. She starts seeing this really, really overweight girl follow her around and like tell her things. It's kind of like symbolism for her former self. She's telling her all these things of like anger and violence, and you need to get back at these guys that did this to you and then run away and all this stuff. And so she ends up doing that, and she runs away to join the circus. And it's really heavy. Content warning for sexual assault, rape, eating disorders, depression, suicide. Like, so many things are in here. There's something that just like haunts my soul a little when it comes to the circus and kind of like the dark fantasy world that a circus kind of seems to have. And this book really fleshes that out really well. When she goes and joins the circus, it doesn't resolve all of her issues, and she really still has to work through so many things. And even though she's surrounded by all these people, like, she's still isolated. And man, it just, this book is a trip. It's very emotional. I didn't love it. Again, I feel like I'm saying that for all these books. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was just okay for me. I'm definitely going to keep it on my shelf. This is one that, you know, I really liked at one time, and I still do enjoy, but you really have to be in a good mindset going in and reading this book. So for that reason, I went ahead and gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars. Okay, the time has come to talk about the book that I DNF'd. I'm a little nervous because this is a very, very well-loved book. Like, very well-loved. But we'll get into it. Let me tell you what the book is. I'm like nervous. People, don't come at me, okay? Circe by Madeline Miller. I DNF'd it. I read 213 pages. I still have it bookmarked. 209 pages. And I just couldn't do it. So this follows our main character, Circe, and her story. So that's like Greek mythology, right? Like Circe's part of the Greek mythology world. I actually don't know much about Greek mythology, and she gets like exiled from where she was living, and people say that this book is really like feminist and stuff, which is cool. Like I said, every single person on Goodreads rates this book really high. So I felt like I was missing something for a long time, but there's a few things why I DNF'd this. First of all, we picked this for my book club's book of the month. So I would have never bought this book for myself if it wasn't for being a part of my book club. And one aspect that I really like about being part of a book club is that it gets me to read books that I wouldn't normally pick up and challenge myself. I've read a lot of books with my book club, and a lot of them I didn't love, but I still challenged myself. I tried so hard to push myself with this one. This is not something that I would ever pick up and be like, oh, Zoe, like that sounds like such a cool book, or like I don't read books just because people really like them. Like I pick books that I know I'm going to really enjoy. Reading the synopsis of this, I knew I wouldn't like it. I knew it's not something that I would particularly get in the mood for, so I never would have picked it up had it not been for my book club. Second, I don't do well with high fantasy. Like I'm still trying to tiptoe into that genre, and I really only read fantasy books when I'm in the mood for fantasy. That is something that I have to be really kind of like strict about. Like there's other books where I try and challenge myself to read, but fantasy is just not one of them, because if I'm not invested in the story going right into it, it's going to be a challenge. Lastly, this felt like such a history book to me, and I hate history. Like, you know how everyone has a subject that they just don't like? Math, English, science. Your girl hates history, okay? Like, it is so boring to me, and I wish I liked it. I wish I did. I try and tell myself, like, it's stories. Like, this is your culture. History shaped, like, the world that you live in today. I have failed so many history classes, okay? Let me tell you, like, it's not a good time. I know this isn't history, like it's Greek mythology, but which kind of reminds me of like Roman history. I don't know if that's right. I literally could be wrong. Probably am wrong. But because this felt like a history book, it just really became such a chore to keep trying to chug through, and I just couldn't do it. I feel so bad. The rest of my book club seems to like absolutely adore this, and it just wasn't for me. And I'm bummed because I got the really pretty cover too, thinking like, if you get the pretty UK cover, you're gonna have to like it. And it's the curse of my life that every cover I love, I end up hating the book. So this is the book that I DNF'd this month. I did read like half of it, and I just couldn't get through it. So sorry, Circe. Those are pretty much all the big books that I read in the month of March. Man, I really had kind of a weird slumpy reading month. I did also end up reading The Complete Cheese Sweet Home Volume 2, and I read The Girl from the Other Side, which is a manga. This is like a super fun Japanese comic about this like cat and all of the little like adventures she gets into, and it's freaking adorable. I love it so much. There's like 4 volumes. They are not small. I mean, it took me all month to read. They're just really fun to like flip through when you have a little bit of time. And yeah, she's the cutest thing ever. This author has had lots of cats in their life, because like just the things that the cat does and says are just so, they're so cat-like. I love it. So this is freaking cute. And then, like I said, I also read The Girl from the Other Side. This is a manga about this like little girl who is following around this kind of like demon creature monster person. There's a lot of mystery around this. It's a manga, so that I don't really know a lot about it yet. All I know is that in the first one, he's like her caretaker, and he's really nice to her and keeps telling her like, your aunt's gonna come get you soon. Your aunt's gonna come get you. They live in this like kind of isolated, like in the woods, and he keeps saying, yeah, your aunt's gonna come get you soon. But in like other scenes, we see that he's lying to her because her aunt isn't coming, and the little girl was abandoned into this person's world. So we'll see. It's good. I want to keep reading the manga. I was a huge fan. I read it in one sitting, and I really liked it. So I'm definitely going to go ahead and keep reading this one. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So those are all the books that I read in March. Not the best month. I'm sad. I'm hoping that April just gets me out of a month of just reading books that were really kind of subpar and nothing that was like a new favorite. I feel like I really challenged myself to read a lot of books that I wasn't in the mood for, and I think that's probably what created more of a slumpy kind of reading month. April, I think I really want to listen more to my mood and just read whatever the heck I'm in the mood in at the time, and hopefully that'll give me a better month. You guys should let me know what you read in the month of March. Let me know what your favorite book was that you read in the month of March. I'm always looking for recommendations, and you guys always give me really good recommendations. I've been in the mood for like mangas lately specifically, and mystery thrillers. So if you have any recommendations around those genres, please let me know. I would really like to check them out. And yeah, that's all I have for you. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are. I'll talk to you soon in my next video. Bye!